Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the July meeting of the Pennsylvania County Planning Commission. Roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Brown? Here. Mr. Waters? Mr. Dalton?
Here.
Mr. Oakes?
Here.
Miss Meese?
Here.
Miss Henderson?
Here.
And Mr. Hawker?
Here. Thank you, Mr. Arnold. If you would, please stand with me and let's observe a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to this committee regarding anything that is not on our agenda? All right, thank you. Approval of the agenda. The floor is open for a motion on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Webb. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Oakes.
I'm going to have to do a verbal roll call.
All right.
Mr. Oakes,
Yes.
Mrs. Meese,
Yes.
Mr. Harker,
Yes.
Ms. Henderson,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
and Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda carries. Floor is open for a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Motion by Mrs. Meese. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mrs. Henderson. Madam Clerk, if you would call roll again.
Yes.
Oh, we got
I'm
it.
up that time.
Please cast your vote. Motion to approve the minutes passes 6 yes to 0 no. Do not have anything to report to you all this month. We'll go right into our cases for the month. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pennsylvania County Zoning Ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance, to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning and Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pennsylvania County. We must ensure that all of our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and in the best interest of Pennsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. At 7:05, case R-24-013, is now open for public hearing. Mr. Arnold.
Yes. Case R-24-013, Aaron Tooley has petitioned to rezone 3.85 acres located on State Road 992 Homestead Trail in the Dan River Election District from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District to allow for a private recreational facility, an event venue. Once the property is rezoned to A1, all uses listed under Section 35-178 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet, and Mr. Chairman, Aaron Tooley is here to represent the petition.
Good evening. Welcome back, Mrs. Tooley. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. We have listened to our neighbors from last month and their concerns and have added proffers to our A1 request. And I've been told you all have the copy of it, but I'm just going to read the first part. We will have no events after 10 p.m. There will be no alcohol permitted at events held on the property. All structures used for events shall comply to the Virginia statewide Fire Prevention Code. All parking will be contained within the parking areas identified on the site plan that we turned in a couple months ago. Events will be limited to a maximum of 75 people. All events shall comply with the Pittsylvania County Noise Ordinance. And then we have listed that we will not use the property for any of the following uses that are on the A1. Do you want me to read all those?
You don't have to if you don't want to. I think we all have a copy of this. Yeah,
Okay.
That's right.
So that is, I guess, my petition today, and I hope you will consider my request.
Thank you, Mrs. Tooley. We had a couple of folks signed up to speak, so we'll let them do that, okay? Deborah Dockery. Good evening. How are you?
Hello. Again, my name is Deborah Dockery. I've heard the provisions, but my husband and myself are still against the rezoning. I don't care how many parties you have. I don't care how many graduations you do, but the main reason to change the zoning is to make a profit. I'm an accountant. I know the only way you're going to make a profit is by having bigger parties and more parties. That's going to bring in more traffic. You're going to have strangers coming into the neighborhood. They're not going to know the speed limits. They're not going to know where the children are playing. They're not going to know where the animals are. It's going to be a short time before we have a tragedy. I understand that you've bought in this neighborhood and you have a dream. Well, our dream has been for 30 years to live in a quiet neighborhood. We want it to stay that way, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be ugly, but this is the way I feel. I'm concerned about having farm animals. I don't exactly understand how that's going to play, because we already also have 2 homes that have farm animals running all over the neighborhood. We can't do anything about it, even though I keep calling Chatham. They're still roaming, they're still knocking on my door, and I don't want to have that in another house. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Daniel Gussler.
Members of this committee, Daniel Gussler, I live right next door to these people, so what happens here tonight greatly affects me in more than one way. Last meeting, we were talking 20 to 25 guests. Now we're at 75. It's a big difference, guys, big difference. We were talking about limited hours, 10 to 4, now we're 10 to 10, or, what have you. Not what we want, not what I want next door, not what any of you want next door. Talked about communication with neighbors. I've yet to receive any communication from the Tooleys at all. You know, 75 people does not really fit the description of a quiet tea party, in my opinion. We're looking at larger parties. Like Deborah said, we're looking to make money. So I ask this committee tonight to remember your oath and commitment to this community. Keep us safe, our children, our dogs, our cats, and our community. We don't want strangers next door. We like community. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Is there any, let's see. Ms. Tooley, did you want an opportunity to respond to any of that? Okay.
We put the limit of 75 people on there so they knew that this would not go crazy parties. But we also didn't want to limit the ability to have events on our property either. So we were hoping that 75 would be a good middle ground. And yet again, there's not going to be any alcohol. The focus is going to be tea parties, which you're right, it will mostly be parties from 12 to 24, but we didn't want to just limit it to that. I have a family. This is not going to be a full-time business like a normal event business. We have responsibilities and things that we do with our children. This is a part-time, trying to make it, to do it the right way. For A1, just like we said in the last meeting, there are already 11 properties on our street that are already zoned A1, and we would just like to be a part of that. I hope, can I answer any questions for y'all?
Are there any questions for Ms. Tooley?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Meese.
Maybe I've overlooked it, but what days of the week will you be open? Is it
So
weekends?
the way it works right now is people would book a tea party. They're normally on Saturdays, and then they would come at that time and have their tea party for 2 hours. We won't be doing Sundays at all.
So you're talking about Saturdays only, no weekday?
If we do any weekday, it will be very limited, because most people need events on Saturdays.
And I understand this is a State Road 992.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that VDOT could put up signs, children playing or speed limit? I'm sure they would address that, wouldn't they? I'm just asking.
I have no idea. That's something we could ask them for.
Because your neighbor was concerned with the children playing and the speed and that type thing.
Right.
I think VDOT could help. As far as I know, they can. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask them.
I would be happy to ask them. We have lived there since October, and we're towards the middle of the road. I have not seen many children riding their bicycles, and maybe I've missed it. And if it would help for me to call VDOT, I'd be happy to do that and say, children at play, be careful, something like that.
I don't think it could hurt, if they would be willing to do it. That's all I have.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Tooley.
Thank you.
At 7:15, public hearing is closed for this case. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I met with the Tooleys. I want to thank Mr. Hunt, the lawyer for the county. He's not here tonight. I think he's on vacation this week. Emily Ragsdale is as well. But the three of us got together at Mr. Hunt's office
about a month ago, and we sat down with the Tooley family and got to talk over some stuff with them. They, and what I want Homestead Trail to understand, and I'm going to take the blame for the 75 people. Because, the Tea Parties were originally explained to be 20 to 25, people-wise, but it's like I told her and Mr. Hunt, the lawyer, did. I said, I run small businesses, and I want your small business to go. Ms. Dockery's right. This is a business, but it's not a big business, nor is it in the intention to be a big business, I don't think. And I think they've been very truthful and forthcoming. And when they eliminate this amount of things, they profit away unbelievable amount. Now, animal-wise, y'all aren't into farming business, and I don't see where animals is an issue here. And that is a profit also for no zoo animals and petting animals in parks. And that was profited away. Since the last meeting, and there was such a large petition that went up and down the neighborhood with feedback and negative feedback and that kind of thing, a lot of the neighbors didn't know the whole scope of this, nor did they understand how much was being profited away. We were able to explain that. I've talked to a bunch of neighbors, talked to one today for probably half an hour. They can't do anything else with this property after these proffers are done. And I explained it last month. Anybody watching online or that's here tonight, if they sell this property, that runs with the land as well, these proffers do. So this can't be sold as like an investment type property by us rezoning it this way, or if we do. This is still a planning commission, so the only thing we're doing is making recommendations. With an event, I don't see, if they make an investment in their property, 20, 25 people, it's not going to bring in much revenue. That's still a considerably small business. If they wanted to have a baby shower, for instance, and two sets of families come, a husband and wife side of each side of the family come, you could have 75 people. We've allotted 25 parking places. So, this thing is not but so big. Again, tonight we're making a recommendation. The Board of Zoning and Appeals can add and take away conditions, and then of course it goes on to the supervisors. But I just want everybody to kind of keep that in mind and still understand the importance of how the proffers run with the land. Mr. Chairman, in case R-24-013, I want to make a recommendation that we approve and send on to Board of Zoning and Appeals with the proffers that the Tooley signed.
Okay, this isn't a special use permit. This is a rezoning, so it would go straight to the Board of Supervisors. And they would have a public hearing next month.
Okay.
In this case. So you want to...
I need to reword that.
Modify your motion.
Reword that. Okay, Mr. Chairman, in case R-24013, I make a motion that we approve to the Board of Supervisors with the proffers.
All right. Motion by Mr. Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Oakes. Please cast your vote when it's available on the screen.
Mr. Harker, yours?
Mine came up and went in. Not show up?
All right.
Yes.
Can I get your vote?
Yes. Motion by Mr. Brown passes 6 yes, 0 no. At 7:19, case S-24-010 is now open for public hearing. Mr. Arnold.
Case S-24-010, Christopher Mims has petitioned for a special use permit on 1.46 acres located on State Road 1016, Neil Davis Road in the Dan River Election District to allow for the placement of a single-wide manufactured home in accordance with Pennsylvania County Code, Chapter 35, Section 223. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet, and Mr. Chairman, Chris Mims is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Mims, did you have anything to add or to present? Okay. No one has signed up to speak against this, and I don't see anyone but the Toolies left, so. At 7:20, public hearing is closed. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I haven't had any calls on this case, so I'm assuming it's pretty simple from what I'm seeing. In case S-24-010, I make a motion we approve for Mr. Mims' special use permit.
Motion by Mr. Brown, is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Webb.
And Mr. Brown, yours is yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yes, 0 no. Old business. Got anything?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
No, any new business?
No, sir, Mr.
All right,
Chairman.
then at 7:21, we're adjourned.